evening, everyone. My name's Gill and I've been a primary school teacher for 15 years, mainly in Key Stage 1, which you people who don't work in education, that's infants. Along with Emma, I work at Meltham CE, a large primary school with nearly 400 pupils. I've seen a massive change in technology, and particularly the use of computers in the classroom. From one PC per class for the use of very controlled activities on floppy disks, remember those? To fully equipped computer suites, back now to PCs and laptops in the classroom which use Wi-Fi to access the internet. I'm also a mum of primary age children and have continuing worries about what they see and hear in this modern world.
Hello, my name's Emma Wimpenny and I've been teaching for 5 years in Key Stage 1. Ever since I was really young, I've been really interested in technology. It's been a really important part of my life. Every birthday or Christmas, I'd wait in anticipation of getting the newest games console with the improved graphics or the new must-have music player. And I've always had computers and the internet available for my work and hobbies and schoolwork. So, as a teacher, I'm always on the lookout for new and exciting ways to develop our Year 1 ICT curriculum. So tonight, we're going to share with you our adventures of when we introduced Twitter to 5-year-old children. The internet and children. Well, where to start? If we believed these headlines, if we believed these headlines, we wouldn't even touch it in schools. And as for social networks, well, luckily, we work in a forward-thinking school with a head teacher who is committed to trying just about anything. And if it doesn't work, well, never mind, we've tried.
About a year ago, our school introduced Facebook to a very mixed reaction from staff and parents. Then Twitter came along, which sends out exactly the same messages as Facebook, but proved to be more popular. The head teacher then broke the news in a staff meeting that he wished for a year group to open a Twitter account so the children could tweet for themselves. Looking around, no one fancied it. In fact, staff were either looking down at the ground or horrified. Emma and I locked eyes and said, "We'll do it." Oh no, what did we let ourselves in for? It immediately became apparent that obstacles would occur.
Time. When on earth are we going to fit it in? 5-year-old children take an age to type, can't spell, and will need one-to-one support whilst tweeting. Parents, would they support and follow us? E-safety. What could happen, if anything? Might the children see something inappropriate? What rules might we have to set? Justification. Should 5-year-old children be spending their school time on social network sites, or should we be introducing and promoting artistic, verbal and paper and pencil communication? After considering these points, we decided just to get on with it and play it by ear. Here's Hayden.
Well, Twitter is something we do at school, and you can look at TV, you can look at messages and you can look at photographs and put messages in Twitter, and you can look at it at home with Mummy and Daddy.
We began by showing the Twitter website to our classes and tried to explain to them what it actually is. This wasn't easy, but we tried to get across to them that Twitter is like a stage for our writing. You are writing so that anyone can hear you. Anyway, we decided to jump in feet first and let the children tweet. Here are our first ever 2 children's tweets. As you can see, phonetically written. The children were guided, but no help with spelling was given. Here's Antonia to explain how a tweet was composed and sent.
In year 1, we did Twitter, and we wrote it down on some paper first, and then we let the teacher check it. And then once she'd check it, we'd start typing it down. And after that, we'd let the teacher check it again, and then we'd get a little card that said we have tweeted in year 1, and we would take it home so our mum and dad could see it.
Very soon, we received our first tweet back on mention, and it was from our very own MP, Jason McCartney. I think the adults were definitely more excited than the children about this.
Following this, a child tweeted us using her parents' account to tell us about something exciting that had happened at home. We showed the class her tweet on the interactive whiteboard, and this encouraged others to tweet from home also. The children were now becoming much more interested in using Twitter as they saw more of their own and their peers' tweets on the big screen at school. Parents started tweeting questions and comments, and our followers grew.
A few weeks after starting our Twitter project, we realised that we, the grown-ups, could tweet on our account too. For some reason, this hadn't entered our mind until now. Anyway, we began to tweet reminders for the parents and the children, ideas for further learning and links to other websites. We also started to add photos. At first, with the text typed by us, either a description of the photo or maybe a question to encourage discussion at home. We often did this out of hours, so it was a surprise for the children. By this point, we were consciously pushing Twitter on a daily basis and really hoping that more and more children were sharing experience with their parents at home.
We showed the children how to take and upload a photograph to Twitter for themselves, and then how to add their own text. Children were always more enthusiastic when photographs were involved. They often asked if a photo could be taken of their work so they can put it on Twitter for their parents to see. Along our journey, we did introduce some simple e-safety rules for the children. To always use the internet with an adult, whether at home or at school. To, as a teacher, if you're sharing Twitter with the class, the children, always check your screen first before you put it on the big interactive whiteboard. Just in case something inappropriate comes up, you can quickly click it off and just make sure that the children are safe. And whenever the children, whenever they tweet, we only ever use their first names, and we never use names on photographs. And always, when they're on the internet, at home, at school, on any sort of device, always, if they see something that just isn't right, we describe it sometimes that you might feel worried or get butterflies in your tummy, go and tell an adult straight away.
We began to think of more ways we could include Twitter in the curriculum. We were due to start a short literacy topic on the book Bob, Man on the Moon, which focuses on the main character, Bob, who works on the moon. We were following the CLPE-endorsed Power of Reading scheme, but wanted to add our own slant to it. And so we decided to create a fictional Twitter account for the character of Bob, so that the children could communicate with him electronically. We'd already written letters to him, so in his return letter, he included his Twitter username, @BobAtTheMoon, and a note asking the children to follow him on Twitter, which of course, we immediately did. We looked at his profile, what he'd written about himself and who he was following. "He's following NASA," noticed one bright child. "It's definitely him." The children loved chatting to Bob on Twitter and asking him questions. He always answered. Here's Emily to tell you all about Bob.
We got a letter from Bob telling us to follow him on Twitter, and we did. We asked him lots of questions, and he answered them. We found out that he had a dog called Barry.
Callum's interaction with Bob. He asked Bob if there are any clangers on the moon. Bob replies, "No, of course not. There's no aliens on the moon." Which, if you've read the book, that's the running joke throughout the book. We used the Twitter account to initiate further literacy activities during our Bob project. Bob invited the children to visit the moon, which they did in our drama lesson. They then wrote postcards from our imaginary visit to the moon to their parents. Bob had a problem with tourists dropping litter on the moon. Here's Emily again to tell you about it.
We got a message from Bob saying that the moon was dirty and people were dropping rubbish. So we decided to make posters.
What were the posters for?
So people wouldn't drop. We made posters so people would drop rubbish.
Drop rubbish where?
On the moon.
So what was Bob going to do with them?
Put them up on the moon.
Oh.
Our first year of tweeting was coming to an end as our little tweeters were moving on to year 2. So before starting again with our new cohort, we looked for feedback from the children themselves, the parents and other members of staff. Here we have some quotes received in response to our questionnaire that we sent out to parents and some videos of the children's thoughts on Twitter. The vast majority of questionnaires that we received back were really positive. One parent saying that she received great feedback from her own Twitter followers when she shared her child tweets, whereas some parents believe that face-to-face communications should take priority. Here's Libby. I think you've seen this young lady before, and why she likes Twitter.
I liked it because you could tell everybody what you've been doing and they might like to try it out at home. Say if you were seeing if you can make the cup overflow with all the bubbles like a volcano, you could type in that and then some people from different places or different parts of your school might want to try it out like in science experiments.
Very true.
Many parents commented on how they enjoyed finding out what their child had actually done at school that day. I love reading all the children's tweets. It was good to see what they were learning and what they enjoyed. It provided a personal link between home and school, which was interactive. Here's Ben to talk about how he communicated with his dad on Twitter.
I liked it when my daddy sent a tweet. It was about my drum lesson.
Did you send him the tweet back?
Yeah.
And what did it say?
Good drumming, Ben.
That's what your dad's tweet said. What did your tweet say back to him?
I've got a new piece.
Wow, well done.
A common theme throughout our questionnaires was how much that the parents liked the children's own spellings unchanged and that they always gave them a smile. Here's Libby again.
I like going on Twitter at home with my mum because I get to sit on the couch with a blanket over us and whilst my dad and my brother are at a different place.
Libby was one of our most enthusiastic tweeters.
Here a parent said, "I feel I was better able to support my child's learning having more knowledge of the topics covered, rather than the 'I can't remember' response to the day's events." Maisie will tell you about how her dad read the Twitter messages and then showed them off to his friends.
I liked writing about all the things that we did in year 1 on Twitter, that's so my dad could see it and put it on Facebook for other people to see.
We've now introduced Twitter to our new classes, but due to a parent, a decision has been made to change our account status to protected instead of open. This means that people have to apply to follow us and then be accepted, rather than just anyone being able to view our tweets and photographs.
Well, what does a protected account mean for us in Year 1 at Meltham? Makes us feel more secure, makes cautious parents and staff happy, gives us more authority on who views our photographs and reads our tweets. However, is it really secure? How far do we go in checking out people's identities? Can we be sure they are really who they say they are anyway? Could we be liable as a school if the account is promoted as secure and God forbid something happens? More admin is definitely created for us in checking out followers before we accept them. It stops the openness of Twitter, which is what it's all about. Followers can't retweet our tweets. We want our good practice to spread far and wide. It could discourage some potential legitimate followers. And why have a protected Twitter account when we have a school website which contains photos and names of children that absolutely anyone can view?
At the moment, the jury is out at our school about whether it should be open or protected. But we would love our account to be opened again, so that our 100 plus followers, I think it's 113 at the moment, including Dougal McCormick, Jason McCartney, the Examiner News team, eSafety Online, and many other influential professionals and parents, most importantly, can retweet their children's achievements. And also, others can view our Ofsted rated good practice. This quote was taken from our recent Ofsted report. The Year 1 Twitter feed is a good example of how the school is not only helping pupils write for a specific audience, but also keeping parents and carers informed.
Well, overall, has it been worth it? Definitely. We believe we've introduced eSafety in a controlled way. These children are quick to report anything odd or unusual on the screen, and maybe as they get older and use social networking sites for themselves, they will think very carefully about what they type before they press the tweet or send button. The children are learning typing skills, and although the computer, often reluctant writers, are choosing to write for a purpose, practicing their spellings and punctuation at the same time. They also feel rewarded when they see their tweets on screen, similar to seeing their work on the wall. We've created a brand new homeschool link, especially for us in Year 1. We also communicate between year groups, staff, parents and other professionals. We've yet to exchange tweets between another primary school, but maybe that could be something we could try in the future. The time element that we mentioned earlier became irrelevant. Yes, it took a while for the children to tweet at first, but that's the same for everything in Year 1. 5-year-olds take an age to get changed for PE at first. Well, that's enough of us twittering on. And it's goodbye from Emma and I and our little tweeters. Please follow us at YR1 Meltham CE. Thank you.